hope everybody is well. This is our first week back in work. This is our first live class since probably before the Christmas. And before the Christmas, we would have been doing Christmas door wreaths. So today's class is all about revamping your door wreath, and it's going to cost you little or nothing. So before we get going, everybody start commenting underneath. Let me know where you're from. Give us an idea what's the weather like in your part of the world. Share our video, because that will then let other people know that we're actually live. And then if you know somebody that maybe is interested in flowers or has an old door wreath dried out to bits like our own here hanging on their door, and you think this might be of interest to them, why don't you tag them underneath? So weather in Dublin, it's nippy, it's cold, it's not frosty. I have to say, it hasn't been that bad. I know you're probably saying, looking at the look of me, I haven't been around in much frost the last 2 weeks or so. I was over in Lanzarote the last 2 weeks. The weather was absolutely amazing. So anyway, back to the grindstone this week. What we've been doing is packing up the kits. We have module 1 and module 3 starting on the 24th of January. So this morning I've been labelling them up, getting the names and the addresses, getting the postage stamps, and then over the next few days they will then be going down to the post office, because you normally find our post office is quite small, and if I go down with all the boxes at the same time, the poor girl would have an absolute heart attack. So who's watching, Deirdre? What's happening?
We've Mary is watching in from Enniscorthy. Cheryl is watching in from Wiltshire, and she says it's grey and cold.
Oh.
Lorraine is watching in from Enniskillen, and she says it's dry and fresh. Let me see who have we got.
It's not raining.
That's it.
Do you know
Ballyheigue and Kerry, and it's cold and dull. So we don't seem to have rain anywhere.
No, that's what I was just going to say. It's ages since I've been able to say the weather has been shite, okay? You know, normally last year, that's all I seem to be saying. Shite weather, really shite weather. Absolutely shite weather, but like so far anyway, fingers crossed, the rain is holding up.
Somebody on YouTube is saying it's really hard to see us on YouTube. I don't know whether that's to do with the Wi-Fi or the weather, but we are over on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on TikTok. Yeah. So if you can't see us on YouTube,
the camera thing need to be cleaned. Is there makeup on it even? Or
maybe so. Hang on a second.
Could be that. Hold on, she's just going to. So she's pulling the t-shirt off herself here at the moment. Your camera is going to go shaky for a minute, YouTube. There, she's just giving it a little bit of a rub there, just to see if there's any makeup on it.
Just
you know yourself putting the phone up to your face all the time. I know normally what happens is my viewfinder is just be plastered in powder and makeup and makes it.
Tracy's watching it from Derbyshire, and she says it's feckin' freezing.
Feckin' freezing in Derbyshire. Oh, well listen, hopefully this is going to warm you up. So go out to your hall door, lift off your door wreath, bring it in, and start stripping, okay? Not literally.
Patricia the stripper.
So get rid of your ribbon. So what you then do is remove the items, and these can all be reused again. So don't throw them out. So none of this is going in the magic bin today. So these lemon slices, I've been lucky enough, as I'm pulling them out, the wires actually are not too bent, okay? So in that case then, I'm just kind of straightening them as they go along. So there's my pine cones. And again, you know the way normally there's a little bend where you bend it back up into the frame. I'm just going along the items there, and I'm just straightening them out, okay? Now, if something was really, really bent and crooked, I know then next year, or the end of this year, 2024 Christmas, we would be struggling trying to get bent wires into the base. But if you straighten them out as you go along, do you know that way, you will be able to reuse them wires again. So listen, that's going to be brilliant for the environment, but more important, it's brilliant for your pocket.
Somebody is saying if the slices have gone soft, can you dry them again?
Dry them out. So mine are actually dry, but then I have a porch. We're real posh in Rialto. We have a porch, and the door's outside. So mine didn't get wet. So what you just do is take them out of your wreath, straighten the wire, and lay them on top of your radiator. Do you know that way? Or somewhere warm, even on the kitchen table, close to the radiator, or whatever heating system you have in the house, and they'll be absolutely perfect. But dry them out before you store them, because otherwise what happens is they will go mildewed, and you're better off letting them really dry out.
Selena's saying hers went mouldy.
Yeah, you see, they're all dehydrated fruit, okay? So once they get wet, and especially like over a 3-week period, it'd be like hanging a fresh apple or a fresh orange, you know what I mean, on your door wreath. That would have went kind of like mouldy and mildewed as well. So exactly the same thing happens to the dried ones. But like, obviously, Celine is not posh. She hasn't got a porch. But if you had got a porch, Celine, if you come back up to Dublin now, and you had a porch door up here, you'll find it would probably be fine. So I'm actually really, really lucky, I have to say. Like, everything here seems grand. So I would just put them into a paper bag or wrap them in a bit of wrapping paper. I prefer to do that rather than put them into plastic, okay?
I do put mine into a bag and I pack them in with the Christmas decorations.
Yes, that's normally what I do.
And the same with my mantelpiece arrangement and my dining room table. It's all reused, recycled every year, same stuff.
So there's all your items there. So I'm going to gently put them down on the floor because I'm not
Celine
going
says
to
no,
Dublin.
she's not posh.
Not posh.
And
Now you need to come back up to Dublin. That's them Tipperary ones. Probably living on a farm, she is.
Angela's watching in from Kerry. Who else? Anna is watching in from, I assume it's New South Wales in Australia. Carol is watching in from Offaly. Oh, North Wales. Debbie is watching in from North Wales. And Janette is watching in from North Wales as well. Oh, we've loads.
Is it?
Yes.
There you go. See, she's one of the few Janettes that follows us because Janette is not, well, I don't think it's a really, really popular name, you know the way. So when I see a Janette following us or commenters, it always sticks in my mind. So there you go.
So if your name is Janette, comment and let us know that we have another
you never know,
Janette.
it could be a giveaway for you. So next stage of the wreath. So removing all your decorations, getting rid of the ribbon. The ribbon was a bit tatty anyway. And you're probably saying you're not going to use that dried out base. So no, I'm not. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a base out of this dried out base. So this base is made, okay, originally, like back say before Christmas, end of November, it was made on like a wire frame. It's a green wire frame that's at the back there, so you probably can't see it, but it's made on one of these wire frames. And if you've been following us, like, you know what I mean, before Christmas and that, I was showing you how to make bases onto these wire frames. So what I'm going to do now, and if there's anybody watching and they haven't got a revamped Christmas wreath, or you haven't got, like, you know, exactly what I have here, but you do have a wire base. If you have a roll of real wire, where a roll of twine will do exactly the same job, you can wrap branches onto your frame, onto your wire frame, and make a base exactly what I'm doing now. So what I'm doing is I'm recycling, upcycling, upskilling, whatever the words are. Again, start putting all the comments, all these recycling words, sustainability, biodegradable, all them buzzwords. We love all them buzzwords. Start putting them all there in the comments to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm using everything. I'm not going to waste anything. So first of all, with the real wire, I'm just going to catch it around the base here with my finger or my thumb. And I'm going to wrap the real wire around the same section 2 or 3 times.
Sorry,
okay?
again, there's a couple of people saying on YouTube that the focus is not great. What I will be doing is we will have a pre-recorded version of this going up on YouTube in the next day or so. So if you're watching on YouTube and the focus isn't great,
watch out for
the pre-recorded
And in the
one.
pre-record, I won't be talking all this shite. You know,
We won't be asking about the weather.
Yeah, I'll be just getting straight into it.
Julia's watching in from Guernsey Channel Islands, and Mary's watching in from Mayo.
Brilliant. Big welcome, everyone. And again, anyone that's joining us there, comment underneath, let us know where you're watching from, what's the weather like, but share the video. That is really, really important. So what I'm doing now, and you can see the way it's starting to get squashed in, okay, is I'm squeezing in the branches of the old Christmas spruce, okay, and I'm wrapping the wire around it. Now I'm missing, you can see I missed one there, you know what I mean, but I'm going to go back around it a second time. So again, I'm squeezing in the branches, wrapping the real wire around, pulling it tight, and then I'm doing that, like leaving approximately 2 centimeters or so gap in between each spiral of wire. So again, just to hold it up that you can see, that's the section I've worked on so far. That's the section obviously I haven't come to yet. So what I'm actually doing is making my own greened up base. So again, as I said earlier, for anybody that hasn't got an old base like me, but an old base like me, criticising myself, get yourself some branches of foliage, like eucalyptus will be absolutely fine. Any foliage that will dry out. You want something that's going to dry out, okay? And you could rest your eucalyptus branches onto the wire ring that I showed you there previously, and you can do exactly the same idea. But as I said, this is a way of upskilling, upcycling, recycling, using up your base, all about being sustainable, looking after the environment, but all more or less looking after your
Somebody said, waste not, want not.
Absolutely. That's what our mothers always told us, wasn't it? Waste not, want not.
We've actually quite a few people watching in on TikTok, so comment below if you're watching on TikTok and let us know where you're watching in from. We'd love to hear from you.
When we're talking about TikTok, has anyone else joined the new platform called Threads, Threads? If you're on Instagram, you probably automatically got that invite to join it. Now I've joined it, you've joined it as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
We're kind of like running. It's a bit like Twitter or what's now
X.
called X, you know that way. It seems to be kind of quite similar. Now, just to show you, I went around once, and that's what it looks like, you know, after going around the first time. And I've just a few little glittery bits there, they're gone into the magic bin. So now I'm going to go around a second time, okay? And again, I'm not worried if there's some little pieces like left sticking out, but I am going to try and catch in as many of the little surplus branches that are sticking out, just to tidy it up, that's all. And I'm leaving approximately 4 centimetres gap in between the wraps of real wire this time, so I'm not putting them as close together. So again, you can see I didn't catch them ones there, but I'm not really worried about it. If they're annoying you, you can trim them off with your scissors, but you'll see afterwards when I make the wreath, you're not actually going to see it. So you can see this is a way of getting a nice chunky base, okay? And hopefully you can see the table there. I'll just move them there out of the way. You can see like there's very little rubbish kind of coming off it, you know that way. So you'll find then it's not going to shed as much by doing this because you're wrapping them all in. And it just means less hoovering and less tidying.
I think this is a great idea rather than just putting straight into the bin.
It's a Flower School idea, dear. Of course it's a great idea. We did this last year and I have to say the feedback was tremendous. Everybody loved it. Everybody did it. And as I said, besides the roll of real wire, it's cost me absolutely nothing to make that base. Now, early this morning and late last night, both Deirdre and myself went out to the gardens and we done a little bit of foraging. Now, I seen somebody had up there yesterday. I think they were in the UK. So obviously the laws in the UK, Ireland is slightly different. But she was saying, are you allowed forage? You're allowed forage in your own garden. But obviously if you're foraging in someone else's garden, you have to ask permission. Do you know that way? And I wouldn't encourage you to be foraging in the local parks or, you know, public areas. You're probably not allowed to do that. But always ask the park attendant or the gardeners. Like sometimes if there is a local park to you and you say, listen, I'm looking for some foliage. Is there anywhere that I can cut some, you know what I mean, that suits you? And you might say, well, listen, I'm going to be trimming that bush later on. So if anybody needs their bushes trimmed, you know, that way, feel free, put your air code in the comments and we'll send a big tribe and we might organise a bus load.
Marie on TikTok wants to know what type of wreath are we going to make, and Amy says we do this every year in our shop and our spring wreaths fly out.
Amy. Yeah. Brilliant, yeah, it is. It's a great idea. And anybody in shops, you know that way, encourage your customer to bring back their wreaths. So again, they all love this idea of being sustainable and being reusable. And then obviously you're going to charge them, you know that way, but it's a way of making another sale and the customer is absolutely delighted. What did the girl say? What was the name of the wreath?
What type of wreath are you going to make?
Well, what will we
I think
call
it's a winter wreath, really.
It's a winter wreath.
Yeah.
Late January. In Ireland, spring officially is the 1st of February, which is what, about 3 weeks away. But I always feel it's not really spring until the 1st of March in Ireland because the weather doesn't get anyway warm. So it's a late winter or a January wreath. Is the next Monday is January Blues. So you can call it
Blue January, that's
blue
right.
January.
Yes.
We can call it a blue January. I actually have blue ribbon. We might call it a blue January wreath. Comment underneath, give us a few ideas of names that you suggest that we should call this
Well,
wreath.
actually, do you know what? Hook, the wholesalers, they're actually having an incentive for
see
any
that,
flowers bought from the Hook. Obviously, this is to do with wholesale flowers. On Monday, 5 cents of every stem is going to breast cancer because they're turning Blue Monday to Pink Monday.
Yeah, which is a great idea, isn't it? Now, to save time, I've got a little bit of preparation work done. So I'm just undoing the wire that I have wrapped around the end of it there, okay? So we went out to the garden and Deirdre got some wild ivy. And you can see Deirdre's wild ivy has all the seed heads on it. Hopefully you can see that there. They're like kind of black, they're like blackberries actually.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. Where before Christmas, most of these were still green on it, okay? So go out to your garden, your neighbour's garden, and see can you get any clumps of ivy. And that's what you're doing, is you're cutting them off the tree, roughly that size, and I'm bunching them together, 2 pieces there. Also, she's got a little bit of the black pittosporum, or I call it the tom-tom. And again, and I see there's even a little bit of bird poo on one of them leaves there, or bird shite, as we call it here in Dublin. And there's just another little bit of ivy, another little bit of pittosporum, and another little bit of pittosporum.
Somebody is asking, are the berries poisonous if they drop and the pets eat them? I know the birds love them.
Yeah.
I don't know about dogs and cats.
I don't know. Again, any experts out there, give us a little bit of advice. But them berries don't fall off.
They don't really know, in
they're
fairness.
not like the ilex berries.
And I know the squirrels eat them. And what's the hedgehogs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So squirrels and hedgehogs, So, and hedgehogs are like dogs because they eat dog food.
They do. Yeah, that's
so
right.
I'd say they're okay, but listen,
Don't take our word for it.
Don't take our word for it. So what we're just doing, as I said, is just bunching the green wheat together, wrapping a bit of the real wire around the end of it. You can use a little bit of twine, and there is our little bunches. But when we were, this morning, what I did, I have a fatsia plant in the garden, and this is the flower that comes up out of the fatsia plant, okay? So what I did was we cut off some of them, and you can see some of my bunches have the little fatsia flower in it. There was also some of the ceanothus that came from Deirdre's garden. So that's the ceanothus that we normally use around June and July when we do our ceanothus wreaths. I also seen there was Elaeagnus mixed in there.
There was Elaeagnus and there was Viburnum.
Yeah.
And it was I literally just went, and I did have to, in fairness, the only part of the ivy that had seed heads was the top of it. So I had to climb up on a few things to give it. I know, I tell you.
Aren't you early on a Friday morning now?
Selena's saying she's back for you. Her internet went. Angela's saying, I'm lucky I have a good couple of neighbours that let me cut bits and work with the beautiful stuff in their garden. Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like ever so often is if you make a door wreath, is give them back one as a present. You know that way? And they're absolutely delighted. Like we did that in the summer with the hydrangea wreaths. We know lots of neighbours and friends that have fabulous hydrangeas grown in their garden. And I say, listen, let me take the hydrangeas, but I give it back to you. You know, that sort of way. So I forage enough for maybe 2 or 3 wreaths and then give them one back. They're absolutely delighted, and I have them 2 then myself for free.
Anna's saying skimmia is lovely to add to.
Yeah, there is skimmia in there as well. I actually took that out of my own planters because there it is there. So the skimmia is great.
It just hasn't got a great flower yet on it.
No.
Another few weeks it'll have more of a flower on it.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're back to our base, okay? You've seen that part. Anybody watching, just rewind and you'll be able to see exactly what I've done. So you take up your little bunch that has the wire wrapped around it and you place it onto the base on a 45-degree angle. So it's important that it's sticking out. Hopefully they can see that there. Do you see the way that it's sticking out from the edge? Now, if anybody is confined so that your friends or your neighbours are a bit miserable with the foraging, well then if you place it directly onto the base like that, it'll take less pieces, but obviously it's going to turn out that little bit smaller as well. So the bigger the wreath you want to make, the more foraging you have to do. I used to use the word robin. Well, foraging sounds
Well, a few of them here are using the word robin now, in fairness.
Are they? Well, you see, we're posh now because remember we have the porch doors.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we're using foraging today. But the longer you cut the foliage, the bigger the wreath will be as well. So you can either cut it longer or cut it shorter. You can use more material in the bunches or less material in the bunches. I do find with the thicker stem, and especially with the fatsia flower, I had to put an extra bit of wire wrapped around it, that little bit extra, you know the way, just to make sure that my bunches wouldn't fall apart. So place it onto the base on a 45-degree angle, and then you're getting the real wire that was already attached, and I'm going around that bunch about twice there to hold it. I'm kind of pulling that slightly over to the side, and I'm taking up the second bunch and I'm resting it that it's just barely tipping each other. And again, that's where the wire is wrapped around the end of the bunch. So that's placed down onto the base. Hopefully you can see that there. And again, I'm wrapping the wire around. And Deirdre's not to laugh.
I am, yeah. So there's loads of comments coming in. Grand Theft foliage.
Grand Theft foliage.
Geraldine says relocating. Anne says thanks for the tip for the taller foliage. She usually cuts it small. Yeah, I actually, when I'm foraging the foliage, I cut it to the length I want. So
yeah. It's less work, you know, that way. It's less tidy, you know. That Grand Theft foliage. I think for the wreath, Grand Theft Foliage Wreath. I think that's a great name, actually. That's a great name, it is.
Vivian on TikTok says Happy New Year. They're still having problems with YouTube. It seems to be, I don't know, I think probably because all the other 3 phones are on the Wi-Fi, it might be pulling from YouTube.
You know, they're probably feeling a bit blue.
They're feeling a bit blue, but look come back to YouTube. You will get a notification when I post up the actual pre-recorded video.
So to show the next
somebody else, sorry, Janette is asking, do we cover these wreaths on our Module 1 programme?
No, because I'm doing all these classes for free for you. We actually have a door wreath class as well. Do you know that way? So normally when they're on the programs, we give them access to all of them extra courses for free. So no, there's no need to pay me to learn how to do this because I do loads of them free. And if you go over to YouTube, you'll find loads more, like the ceanothus ones that I mentioned there a while ago, or the hydrangea ones, or making the base with the eucalyptus, or the straw, or the moss. They're all there on our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is absolutely fantastic, if I say so myself. Okay, the 4th bunch, so I have 3 bunches in there already. So hopefully you can kind of see in there where it's a little bit untidy looking, you know what I mean? That's where the 3 bunches are. So with the 4th bunch then, I bring it in there. You see the way at the end, and it covers the shit, basically covers the mess, and I wrap then a little bit of wire around that. So ever so often I'll be putting one on the inside there. It also makes it look much chunkier now, it looks much nicer, and it looks more professional. So now I'm on to my 5th bunch. Now I'm not going to be counting all these bunches, so anyone that's watching there, count as I go along. So I'm back now, placing one on the 45-degree angle to the outside, you know that way. And as I said, if the bunches were longer, this wreath would look even bigger. Now that girl that said about making cutting her greenery longer, it's real important if you do go that extra bit longer, or you decide to make the bunches a little bit heavier or chunkier than what I've actually made them. Make sure that the base itself that you're making the wreath on is strong enough to support the weight. Now this one is going to be really strong because you can see how chunky and how thick it is. It doesn't have to be as chunky and thick as that. But you know, if you were doing one light with just maybe light little bits of eucalyptus branches or a small bit of moss or a small bit of straw, the weight of the base may not be strong enough to support the length of the foliage or the chunkiness of the bunches that you make. So just keep that in mind.
Elena's saying the weather is dull but fairly good in County Coventry, and Dawn is saying she caught us live. She hasn't caught us live in a while, obviously, on Facebook, and Avril is on Facebook from Dry Cold Mead.
Back on the inside
she can't see the wreath when it's down on the table.
Yeah, you see, you can only work on it when it's down on the table. It's impossible for me to hold it up in the air. It's a ton weight, by the way, Avril. So it's impossible for me to hold it up in the air, hold the branch, the bunch of foliage, and also wrap the wire around. Well, you will find with some of our pre-recorded classes that we're not actually doing it live, because just so that you understand, when we're doing this live, I'm on Snapchat.
No, you're not on Snapchat.
Not on Snapchat. What
you're on TikTok, you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook, and you're on Instagram.
All at the same time. So we've 4 or 5 cameras there in front of us. So we can't start moving the cameras. The girls that were on YouTube seen that a while ago when Deirdre tried to cover clean the lens on it. So, but when we're doing these as pre-recorded, or like for our commercial courses or our professional courses, because obviously we're just using the one video camera, Deirdre is able to zoom in and show you the details. So if this was one of our commercial courses, like Module 1, Deirdre would be after coming over with the video camera, she'd be zooming in, and then we would kind of pause, and then I would redo it again from a different angle. So obviously with the professional courses, you see a huge amount more detail than what you'll actually see on these classes here. Now, I've just come to the end of the reel wire. So,
have you got
just up that roll. Yeah, I have one here beside me.
Okay,
so
while you're doing that, Janette, Sinead has come on with lots of names for these wreaths. So if you are selling your doing these and selling them, these are great names. Shrub Snatcher, Foliage Filcher, Bush Bandit.
Bush Bandit, that's a brilliant one.
Tree Thief, Greenery Gifter, Hedge Hijacker.
That's a great one. Is that Sinead?
Sinead, yeah. Blossom Burglar.
That's a brilliant one. Excellent, excellent.
So if you're looking for names...
Well, she's not getting a prize.
No, she's not getting a prize. Paul is saying it looks gorgeous. Amy says the weigh a ton to hold on. The Lazy Susan may help for showing the audience better. Not really.
Not really, no, because again, it keep falling off it, you know, that way. Like you can see, even if you just rewind this, how much space I'm using. Like that was on a 12-inch wire ring. Your Lazy Susan is only probably 12 inches wide, but look at the size of this wreath towards the base, and that's what I was trying to say to that girl about cutting her greenery longer. It is obviously going to be much, much bigger, so that's what it looks like at the back. If you just pass it over a few more bunches when you get a second there, Deirdre. Alright. And anyone that's going to ask me how many bunches, I did say earlier on when I was on the 5th bunch, start counting. So I haven't been counting.
Anne said, in Homestone Moor, I found a turntable for a cake. It turns as you're doing it, but on the camera, I'd say it has to stay on the table. This is the IKEA one. Do you want to show that?
So that's the IKEA turntable, right? So again, if I place it on it, you know what I mean? But it's not the turntable I want to actually turn for this display. It's the actual wreath. Because the idea is that wherever the wire, look at the dirt in my hands, I better not push it against my white shirt here. Wherever the real wire is, I have to keep that near my tummy all the time. I see people and they're working over that side of the wreath, you know, that way, where if you watch me again, I'll just get rid of that there. It's this I'm turning, okay? It's not the actual turntable I'm turning. So again,
Avril says you're really branching out in reply to Sinead's things.
special branch. So there I have 3 more in, and then I'm going to put 1 to the inside. So that's what's making it extra chunky, you know, that way, extra heavy, extra big, extra luxurious, okay? So again, I'm back on an angle, bringing 1 out on an angle. There's a second one coming out on an angle. Now when you come to like near the last one, this is probably the second last one, okay? So when I come to the last one, you have to watch when you're bringing the wire in, like I just did there, that you don't flatten down the foliage, okay? So you see the way I still
Just
have
come
this
over
gap
that
here?
way a little bit. Yeah, that's it, yeah.
So see the way I still have that gap there, right? So that's where my last piece is going to go in. But I have to watch that I don't just keep bringing the wire like down like that, because I'll end up flattening all the foliage like what I was doing purposely when I was making the frame back when I was revamping the Christmas frame. So what you need to do with the very last piece of foliage, instead of placing that in on an angle, place that one in vertical, as in straight, okay? But lift up the very first bunch that you put in. So I'm lifting that one up. I'm sliding the ends of this, okay, the arse of it, like in underneath the beginning of the first one, keeping it on that kind of like vertical angle, okay? I now have my wire, I'm holding it in place, but I have to watch that I don't flatten down my foliage. So what I do is I wiggle the wire in between, so you can see the way I didn't flatten it, lift it up, pull it nice and tight, there you go. And then I want to get 1 more on the inside, so I'll just catch this inside one here, flatten it in there as well, lovely bit of skinny on that one. And again, another little bit of what? Wiggling. I call it normally wiggle and wangle the wire. So I'm wiggling the wire in between the leaves, so I'm not flattening them down, and then I'm pulling it nice and tight. And again, another little bit of, I actually think I could do 1 more little bit of foliage, so I'm going to add in another little bit. Just going to give this one a bit of a hair trim. There, it should have been a hairdresser. I could actually do it with my fringe being trimmed. If
Anyone knows
Kelly
good
is watching. Any chance of popping in on your way home, love? And I'll make you a cup of tea and give me fringe a bit of a trim.
Janette, there's a couple of questions there across the different ones about how do they apply for the SkillNet grant? They've seen us advertising it, and how do they apply for it?
You want to get your skates on. It's nearly used up at this stage, okay? Because they only give us a limited number of places. But like for module 1, that's starting on the 24th of January. If you, normally that price is €800, which, being honest, it's absolutely great value, if I say so myself. It includes all your materials: scissors, knife, oasis containers, frog's legs, candle holders, ribbon, wires, gutted tape, anchor tape, you name it, it's in the box, okay? So it includes all of them materials, and it includes a huge box of flowers, like a big flower box of flowers that comes direct from Holland to your hall door, delivered at night time. We'll give you more details of that nearer the time, and that's all included in the price for €800, as well as all your pre-recorded tutorials, all your one-to-one WhatsApp, your Bloom Room membership for the 4 weeks of the program, 3 months access to the program, loads more, okay? So it is great value. But if you're eligible for the SkillNet grant, are you living in Ireland and are you working, you get all I just mentioned for €560. It's absolutely for nothing. I was looking at a course there this morning, and now it was more of a social media course that I was kind of interested in, and I was looking at it, and I'm not knocking it. It's going to be exceptionally good value, and I think it is going to be a good course. It's €450 for 1 feckin' day. You supply your own computer, supply your own phone, you sit in your own house, and you don't even get a tea bag to make a cup of tea. You get absolutely nothing, and it's €450 for the day. Where with our course, it's a 4-week program. Now we don't send you out the tea bags either, but as I said, you're getting all them materials, and if you're eligible for the SkillNet, €560. It's absolutely great value. You need to be living in Ireland, and you need to be employed, self-employed, part-time employed, full-time employed, 1 day employed, starting off your own business. Handiest thing to do, give us a ring here at the school or drop us an email, and we can have a chat to you and we can explain exactly how it works.
And if you're on any of the social media platforms, just drop us a DM or a PM, and we'll go through it with
Somebody
you.
asked me the other day when I was putting up the DM, what does a DM mean? So direct message.
Direct message.
And if it's PM, it's a private message.
Somebody on Instagram is asking, when is our next module 3?
Module 3 starting on the 24th of January.
And there is SkillNet funding for that too.
There is SkillNet funding for that one. So again, where that one includes, all your flowers, all your materials, It's normally €1,000, okay? The flowers are quite expensive because you're working with orchids and roses and gyp and wax flower and you name it. You're working with it for the bridal course. And if you're eligible for the SkillNet funding, you get the exact same course for €700. It's money for jam, and it's not even like it's a grant that you have to apply for. It's a discount. You basically get it there and then. So you go onto our website, it costs you €1,000. You go onto the SkillNet, a particular link now. So email us for the link.
It's an Irish government funding incentive. It is only available to people who live and work in the Republic of Ireland. Somebody's asking about Belfast. There is UK funding. If you go to our website, click on the funding page at the bottom of the website, scroll to the bottom of the funding page. There is a couple of different organisations that do fund our courses for the North and for the UK. So have a look there or drop me an email and I'll send you the link.
Okay, so I think will we go for the blue?
Go for the blue.
We'll go for the blue. I have this lovely blue velvet, but I have this beautiful green one, but it's probably hidden a bit with the dark greenery. Or we have this lovely, you know me for pink. What did you think of the pink hall door that I posted yesterday? Husband nearly had a heart attack. We're getting a new hall door at the moment, a really posh hall door, but we're still going to have the porch, by the way, Celine. And the fella brought in the brochure and he said, go through them. And now, to be honest, it was lovely, you know what I mean? But I probably wouldn't go for it. But there was a pink double, whatever you want to call it, double display hall door. And there was glass and there was pink in the glass. So I took a screenshot, sent it to my husband. I'm like, real innocent, I says, yeah, picked out the hall door, no problem at all. I'm just wondering about the glass. Do we want the pink glass? Well, he nearly shit himself, that way. He nearly had a heart attack. But Deirdre found a photograph of a pink bathroom. So she sent to me this morning. So I have it actually posted on my Instagram stories if you happen to be there. Anyway, I am mad about pink. But this is a beautiful pink. This would be beautiful on the hall door or in the bathroom. So it's more of a dusty pink, where what I was looking at was mad magenta
pink, yeah.
Magenta pink. Will we go for the blue?
Go for the blue.
Okay, so you get your ribbon. Obviously, it's one-sided, where normally the florist ribbons that we use is double-sided. So what I'm then going to do is I fancied off the ends of them, okay? Now you could cut them as two separate ones, which might be easier for anybody that's starting off, is cut them as two separate ribbons, and that way then you have them, you can kind of angle them together, but that you have the two right sides, you see, looking out, okay? And then you can decide, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have them cut up at the top and just let them trail down the ribbon. So I'm just cutting them to the length, and I should have measured it beforehand, and that way I would have saved ribbon, I wouldn't have been wasting any ribbon. And I'm looking for a 20 gauge wire there, maybe beside you there, Deirdre. So at the top of the ribbons here, I'm just squeezing and gathering them in, the dirty hands. I'm getting myself a wire. I'm making what I call a hairpin bend, and I'm wrapping it around there to secure it in place, just double checking then that they're both facing the right way. So letting them trail down the wreath. So then decide on a spot. So I'm going to go for here. And then I'm just going to insert the wire down through it, down through the greenery. It's going down through that base that I made with the Christmas spruce, okay? You probably can't see it, but that's the wire after coming out at the other side. You probably can't see it. No. But you can see my finger wiggling anyway, so believe me, I'm holding the wire there. And what I'm then going to do is bend the wire over into U-bend and stick it back up into the base. And I didn't explain that when I was finished with the real wire earlier on. I was chatting away and I cut the real wire that I was wrapping the material on. I did exactly the same thing. I made a U-bend. If you rewind it back, you'll see it. And I stuck it up into the base.
And sorry, Janette, I just wanted a quick, somebody is asking about the next masterclass.
Yeah, we haven't got a date set, but what we're doing is we're setting up the list, okay? So Celine, maybe you might get the masterclass link there if you don't mind. Or if anybody goes to our website, www.kaysflowerschool.com. Click on the menu button, and in the drop down menu you'll see masterclass. Click on that, you sign in with your email, and as soon as we have the date set, we will drop you the reminder, okay? And even if you can't make it at the time, once you're signed up for it, you'll automatically get a what would you call it, a
notification, or
but when the class is over.
A pre-recorded version.
Pre-recorded version. I'm all stutters here this morning. So there is our, what have we got? Hijacked
hedge.
Hijacked hedge, I think, which is a great name. Go back to all them names.
I can't remember now. Hang on a second.
All them wonderful names that Deirdre come up with.
Shrub snatcher, foliage filcher, hedge hijacker, botanical burglar, fern felon.
I like any of them names. And then the last thing then, if you want to like use a ribbon then for hanging on the door, you could use a cheaper ribbon than this. You wouldn't have to use this fancy one. So I'm just going to hook that around the base, kind of catching it in under the greenery, you know what I mean, so that I'm not kind of like flattening anything down. Okay, so I'm trying to stick it through. Two fingers are meeting each other. There we go. I don't want to break my false nail. Right, so just about, here we go. Janie Max, like giving birth, here it is. So I'm pulling through the ribbon, so there you can see the way it's around the base, okay?
Wreath robin.
Wreath rubber. And then I'm just going to tie a knot here, just to hold it in place. And the idea is then that when you bring it home, you can hang it onto your door knockers, okay? So there's your ribbon then, to hang it on your knockers, and Bob's your uncle. So our hedge hijacker wreath cost us absolutely zero. The roll of reel wire is what it cost me really, and obviously the ribbon to put on the base, because everything was hijacked out of both our gardens late last night and early this morning. So listen, happy foraging. Happy hedge hijacking. Off you go, everybody. I'd love to see all
And
the
anyone that
photographs.
does make it, they might put it over in the Flurry Fun group.
Post it over in the Flurry Fun group. Love to see them. And absolutely, you can decorate it with, you know, silk flowers, artificial flowers, dried flowers.
You could
fruits.
actually put the orange slices
You could put all
back
the
in.
stuff back onto it again if you wanted to. You know, that sort of way. Again, it's not Christmassy looking. It's seasonal looking. And it is our late winter foliage wreath. So listen, thanks a million everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed that free class. Next Wednesday night at 7 o'clock is our next fresh flower arranging class. So you're more than welcome to join us for that. And again, we really would appreciate if people shared our video. That's what's really important, that you click share, get the videos out there. And again, anybody interested in the SkillNet funding, anybody that has any questions about any of our courses or wish to sign up for Module 1 starting on the 24th of January, drop us an email, put your phone number in it if you want, and we'll ring you back if you want to have a chat, if you want to talk to me. And our email address is info@kaysflowerschool.com. Have a great day, everyone, and talk to you all soon.